Hey Clashers, BILLIUS here. Today I'm going to bring you a short review of the August mini update. Let's look at the update from a Town Hall 11 perspective. This update was intended to help balance the game prior to the September update. And there's 4 areas that have been adjusted. Cannon damage has been increased. Healers now can be attacked by air traps. Miner movement has been reduced. And finally, the Eagle artillery is going to trigger later in the attack after more units have been deployed. Let's look at the details. First of all, seeking air mines, air bombs, and air skeletons can all attack healers now. A max cannon can now deliver 120 damage per second. Miners have had their speed reduced from 24 down to 20, and the Eagle is now triggered at 180 spaces as opposed to 150 before. Let's look at some clips I just prepared. I'm going to start with a Queen Walk, and let's look out for the air traps. Notice the power of the cannon is increased. They're delivering 120 DPS, and the Queen is taking a lot of damage. Now the healers are under fire from the air defense, and quickly going from 4 down to I believe 2. Now watch. I'm going to slow this down a little bit as we get closer to the air traps firing off. Here we go, starting with air skeletons. This is slow motion. Notice right now the Queen is near full health. Now here comes a seeking air mine, and that knocks out a healer. Now some air bombs, which are splash damage, not nearly as powerful against a healer. As the healer wanders in, we have several more seeking air mines that just devastate it and finish the Queen Walk. I think you can see that both the cannons and the air traps are going to affect future Queen Walks. I've asked a clanmate to help show how these double cannons are going to behave against a Queen Walk. Here we have the Queen with healers taking out the outside buildings. We've also got a mortar and an archer tower in play. There's also an Expo firing on the Queen, but watch as those 2 cannons take out the Queen very quickly. Combined with the changes to air traps, I think this boost to cannons is really going to change the Queen Walk game. As Reagan said, trust but verify. I'm going to test out the trigger point for the Eagle. I've dropped a golem with 20 bowlers, so that's 150 spaces where it normally would have triggered. And now I've got 10 barbs coming in. Those barbs bring the trigger point up to 160, and still the Eagle is asleep. Now I'm going to bring 10 different troops. Here I come with 10 archers. Let's see if they make any difference. Now we're up to 170 spaces for the Eagle. Still not triggered. And finally I'm going to send in 10 goblins. Here they go. And notice as I drop the last goblin, the Eagle will be triggered. So the space is definitely at 180. That gives you 30 more spaces to use prior to the Eagle kicking in on an attack. Keep in mind that regular spells take 10 spaces, a dark spell takes 5, and heroes take 25 spaces when planning out an attack. Let's move on to a demo of using 6 healers in an attack with bowlers post-update. This is a friendly challenge against Arctic Wombat. You can see here he hasn't had a chance to modify his base yet as far as his traps, air traps. But as the bowlers go in, you're going to see, if you look closely, the healer here at the back get knocked out by a seeking air mine right there. Now despite that, I had 6 healers to begin with, and I've got sufficient healers going into the base with the bowlers. So my recommendation is to try moving towards 6 healers instead of 4 if you're doing a bowler attack like this. Let's look at a friendly challenge to demo the new miners. Their speed now is 20 instead of 24. I've hit a couple giant bombs to start. I also brought a haste instead of one of my poisons to give them a quick start, and here you can see it being used. Hit quite a few obstacles, some spring traps. Just a pretty typical miner raid for me. Now, despite the fact that my king got in some trouble and died early, and I'm going to place a heal spell incorrectly down here by these Teslas, it's way too early. I couldn't really see if I still had miners down that way. Despite all that, and despite the reduction in speed, you're going to see that I'll 3-star this base. So my very early opinion is that this change to miners is not significant at the very least. It might be if there's a more difficult clan castle chasing these miners around the base, or maybe if there's a better base design. But here's a first example, and I got a 3-star, so I'm not as concerned about miners post-update. I should mention I also tested against one of the best war bases in the clan with isolated infernals, and I got 97%. That was against basically a max base. So I think miners are still a very viable option in wars and in pushing. So let me make a quick summary of the update from what I've seen so far. First of all, cannons are going to make the ground game a little more difficult, along with air traps attacking healers. Queen walks should be impacted. It'll be interesting to see how people make use of their cannons and air traps. And also the Eagle artillery should open up new strategies. You've got 30 more spaces before it triggers. I think that's to the advantage of Town Hall 10s, getting a 2-star on Town Hall 11s as well. And finally, we've got miners. From what I've seen so far, I don't see a significant impact on miners. So that's it. Stay tuned. I'll be bringing more updates in the coming days.